Hello everyone, it's Jamie and welcome back to my channel and welcome to another cross-stitching update video. I think it's been like a month since my last actual update video. I did have a stitch with me that I posted last week and it was also a new start, so I have a new start to show in this video. I also have some knitting finishes because I was really working a lot on knitting in August. I think in August I ended up having like 14 days that I did not stitch, and I was usually just like knitting or doing something else. And that also means that in August I did not meet my goal on Autumn Harmony. For the first month this year, I think I only did 4,000 stitches out of the 5,000 that I was hoping to do, but you will see her soon. So the first project that I'm going to show though is the project that I would like to have finished this month. That project is Kita, artwork by Hannah Alexander, charted by Pinky the Pink from makeitpink.net. And in my last video, I was still working on the cross-stitching, and I wanted to have the cross-stitching finished soon so that I could start back-stitching and then doing all the beads. And I did finish the cross-stitching. So if you follow me on Instagram, you have already seen this piece and where it is right now because I haven't worked on it since I posted that picture. And here she is. So the first picture that I will put up is I will put up the picture of where it was the last time you saw it. And the last time you saw it, I was still working on filling in the cross stitching, and I think it was this section here, maybe. One of these sections wasn't filled in. So I finished all of those stitches, and then I started the task of back stitching. So I'm also going to insert a picture of what it looked like before I started back stitching, because there is a pretty big difference in the back stitching versus the non-back with no back stitching. So I'll hold it back a little bit so you can see like the full scope of it, and then I'll get up close in a minute. So there she is. I am loving the way this is turning out, and I'm very excited that she is getting so close to a finish. And now I will go up close so we can see some of the back stitching. So some of this back stitching here, this red color, is actually a DMC metallic. It was not fun to stitch at all, but I love what it added to the piece. And it called for 3 strands of metallic, and I used 2 because there was no way I was going to try and do 3. I was like, no, it's already really hard to get 2 strands of metallic to like lay flat, and so I can't imagine trying to get 3 strands to lay flat. So I did all of that, and I did finish this red metallic color because I was like, I just want the metallic done. And the only back stitching left on this bottom section of her dress is more of the blue lines. So I need to do them on these side portions, and the lines on the side portion are the hardest back stitching in my opinion, because you go a really long distance from where there's a hole, and then you need to keep going a long ways until you find another hole, because otherwise you would be going like in between holes. You'd be trying to make your own hole basically. So you end up having really long lines, and you have to like go really far down on the chart, and then you get lost in like a sea of blue. I don't know. It takes me a lot of concentration to do this back stitching because, like I said, the smaller swirly details were easy because like you're just going like one hole over. You're going diagonally. That is easy, but when it's like really long lines, I was just getting lost in what I was doing. So that's going to take me a little bit. That's also why I put it into this Q-snap going this way, is because I wanted to be able to see this total bottom portion, so I wasn't having to stop backstitching at weird parts because of like a hoop being in the way. So that's why it's in this frame like this. I don't really like using this Q-snap in this direction because it's really weird to hold in front of you, like, I don't know. But it's working for what I need done, and I am getting close to beads and then hopefully having her finished this month. So that was Autumn Harmony, or not Autumn Harmony, that was Kita. Next is Autumn Harmony. So Autumn Harmony is artwork from Maxine Gadd, charted by Maxine Gadd, and like I said, I didn't meet my goal in August, so I'm going to have to try and do extra in September. Actually, I think I'm not actually really that far behind though, because in other months I had done like a little bit extra, so I'm really only like 500 stitches behind my yearly goal, so I'm not 1,000 stitches behind technically. So here's where she is right now though. Last month I was working on her neck, and then I also worked a little bit on the sides of her hair that are next to her neck, and I'm just kind of trying to bring it down. And this section it's kind of boring because the colors aren't fun. There's not details here, and so it's just not the most exciting stitching, but it goes fast because there's not a lot of colors that are used in that area. So it is what it is, and that is what I'll be working on as my daily piece throughout September is Autumn Harmony. I also forgot to get a project. I'm gonna have to get that in a minute. So there's Autumn Harmony. I will keep working on her this month. And then the next project that I have to show is Cozy Winter Book Nook. It's artwork by Rose Kahn, charted by Pain Free Crafts. And I really just pulled this one out because I wanted to work on it. I don't have any goals on it for this year because it was a new start this year, so it wasn't around when I made my goals for the year. And here is where I am on Cozy Winter Book Nook. I was just working on this corner section and I keep going back and forth. Like I'll do diagonal stitching and then I get off the diagonal and then all of a sudden I'm back into the diagonal because I get lost in this piece a lot because there is a ton of confetti with all these like kind of like greeny, yellowy, goldy colors that are throughout this piece here. And so I get lost very easily, and so the diagonals kind of help a little bit if you're only focusing on just like a skinny little section, is to not get lost, but it's taking a while. This piece has a ton of confetti, it uses a lot of colors, so there's a lot of color changes, but I do love the colors and I love this piece. This is on a 25 count 2/1 half cross because this piece is huge, so I was like half cross means hopefully it will go a little bit quicker, but we will see. Also, I was excited because I finally got to 1% on this chart. So this chart, it's 500,000 stitches, so it takes a little over 5,000 stitches to get to 1%. So I have done over 5,000 stitches in this little section and I'm at 1% finally, so yay! Speaking of percentages, in August, I was supposed to get to 50% on Autumn Harmony, and because I didn't reach my goal, I think I'm only at like 49%. So I'm really excited that I'm almost at 50% finally on Autumn Harmony, and so hopefully this month will be the month that I get my 50%. So the last piece that I will show is the one that I had in my Stitch With Me, and that is Rose Library, which I had mentioned a lot, I feel like, before, because I knew that Unconventional X Stitch was going to be coming out with it, and so I was really looking forward to it coming out, and it finally came out last week. I think it was last week, and so I bought it on the day it came out, started it the day it came out, and I'm loving it. I love this chart so much, and here is my start. I don't know where to go. So this is what I've done so far. I started in the top left, and I'm kind of working diagonal-ish, because I mentioned before, I have been watching a lot of Jen the Caffeinated Crafter, and she is really into diagonals. She also mentioned doing like a thing where she does diagonals in different directions to kind of bring the piece in from the different corners, which sounds really fun. That's an idea. So I've been doing diagonal-ish, and I love it. It's so fun. And I love this little corner. You can already see there's books coming in, there's the leaves coming in, there's going to be a window over in this section, and there's just so many details in this chart that I am so excited to see. I am still not at 1% yet on this chart, but I think I am very close. I was at like 90%, and so this piece is going to stay out for this month until it gets to at least 1%. And this is on a 25 count, 2/1 half cross. So there was that. Now I will talk a little bit about plans for the month before I go into knitting. So plans for the month is, there are a few different things. One of them I don't have out, so I'll just talk about it and then you'll see it eventually, is I think I might start doing a Finish Friday type thing. So on Fridays I might pull out a piece that I am working on until I get it finished. So I think I might do that. And I think it was Jenna X Stitches was doing it. I think that's her channel name. And she is working on a Pokemon piece, trying to get a Pokemon piece finished. And she is very close to having her Pokemon piece finished. And I thought that would be a good idea to try and work on smalls. So I would not be working on a large project on Finish Fridays. I would be working on something that's smaller and can get finished faster, so trying to get some of my smalls done. So I think my first one that I will work on is Strawberry Farm, which is from Flossie Fox Shop. I will insert the picture here of what it looks like. Today is Thursday, which means tomorrow is Friday, so I will be working on that tomorrow, which I am excited about. And if I do that, then hopefully I would be able to get that one finished quick-ish because it's only 3,000 stitches and I've already done 1,000 stitches on it. So I would work on that. I think the next piece that I would work on would either be the Northern Lights piece that I started earlier in the year, or I could work on my Lord of the Rings piece from Glitch Stitch AU because I really would also like to get that piece done soon because it's smaller, and I have mentioned before that I would like to try and get my number of whips down. So I will be doing a working on Finish Friday thing. And then also another thing that I was thinking about is I have a lot of plans on like finishing things. So like things that are close to a finish, I am trying to work on. So I have Autumn Harmony that I want to get finished. And like I mentioned, like having some of my smalls get finished. I feel like that means that I kind of neglect some of my bigger charts that are only at like 5% because I'm like, they're not close to a finish, so I'm not going to work on that. I have come up with a solution to that, and I think every month I am going to try and work on 1 or 2 projects that are at the lowest percent complete. And so the 2 projects this month that I will be working on that are at the lowest percent, one of them will be Rose Library because it's still under 1%. And then the other project that I work on is going to be Rainbow Basin because I restarted this project, I think it was last year during Flossmas, and I only put in like 200 stitches, so it's also at a really low percent. This is where it's at. I don't even know which direction this goes. It goes this way, I think. And I restarted it on a 28 count 2/1 tent stitch, so hopefully I can get to 1% fairly quick. But yeah, my goal is to just try and get whatever piece I pull out up another like percent or 2 in the month. And then every month, like I said, I'll just go through my list, pick out the projects that are at the lowest percent at the beginning of a month, and then those projects will be worked on to try and bring up some of those ones that are just not being worked on, because I do tend to pick projects to work on where I'm like, oh, this one has a lot done, I'll try and get this finished, and so a lot of things end up just sitting. And this is where Rainbow Basin was when I first started it. And I don't know if I mentioned, this is a chart from Tilton Crafts. I think the artist is Emperor Pep, and I really love the artwork because it's really colorful and fun, and I like colorful stitching. So I'll work on that sometime throughout the month of September. Bag. And then my 2 Whip Go pieces. So on the weekends, I try and work on my Whip Go pieces so that they have time to get stitched. And my 2 Whip Go pieces for this month, one of them is Mariner, which is a Maxine Gad chart. I do really love this chart. I'm not that far though. So I started in the center with her face because I really wanted to see her face finished. And then last year I tried to do Monogamous May, and I was doing monogamous to a color, so I was trying to only stitch black. And so I worked on the black up the side and then went up to the very top of the chart and then stitched the black at the top of the chart. And now I have been trying to work on the background just to get some of the background out of the way because there's a ton of it. If I was thinking, I would have probably just cropped a lot of the top out, and I guess I technically still could, like, look at the chart, pick a spot, and then just crop some out because it's not necessary, I don't think, to have all the background, so I might look at doing that. But this is one of my Whip Go pieces. My other Whip Go piece I think is hilarious because last month I was working on Game of Thrones by Tilton Crafts, and I was like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if it got called for Whip Go next month? And it did, so Game of Thrones is coming back out. This is a retired chart from Tilton Crafts, and this is where I am on it right now. I will probably just work on the background when I pull it out just to get more of the background done on this because, again, there is just a ton of background that needs to be done on a lot of the charts, which when I buy charts now, I try to not buy charts that have huge amount of like kind of boring background, which is part of my love of like Rose Library and Cozy Winter Book Nook, is that they have details everywhere. So like you can't really call any of it background because there is just stuff going on all over the place, and I really love charts like that. So I will be working on Game of Thrones, and Game of Thrones and Mariner are both 28 count fabric, 2/1 tent stitch because that's what I like to do most of the time. And I think that's all that I have for cross stitching. Now I will go on to knitting. I have a couple knitting things. So I really wanted to finish some of my knitting projects in August because I was like, some of them have been on the needles for a long time and I wanted to get them finished so that I could start new things in the fall because I have things that I want to start, like hats, and I want to try doing some like fingerless glove things or something. There's a lot of things that I want to make in the fall to have for winter time. And so one of the things that I needed to finish was a shawl that I had started, I think, in the beginning of the summer. It is a Boomerang Shawl by Natasha Sills, and I found it on Ravelry. It was free, and so I got it finished. And this was using just like a bunch of kind of random yarns. And so I originally started it with a yarn that was from the farmer's market, and I was doing stripes. So I would do 2 rows of the farmer's market yarn, which I don't have any more of it left to show. I used every bit of it. And then the green and cream color were 2 other yarns held together. The green yarn was a yarn from Northwest Yarns, which is in Bellingham, Washington, and they dye yarn, and the brand is Leviathan Fibers. And then the cream colored yarn was from Leon Alexander Yarns, who no longer dyes yarn, and so it's a lot of yarn that you just can't get anymore, basically. And so I was making it, and then I ran out of the original color from the farmer's market. So I went back to the farmer's market and got a different color, which is less bright than the one that I was originally using, but I really like it. And then I just kept going until I think I was running out of the green, and then I stopped because I was like, I'm running out of a color now. So it's pretty big. I don't want to wrap it around myself because today is a very warm day. It's supposed to be like 90. So I don't need a shawl for today. And so I finished knitting it, and then I also did a crochet edge around the top because the top is where you are switching the colors. So it didn't look terrible, but I just wanted to have that kind of covered up. Plus I had more of this yarn to use that was the farmer's market yarn, so I was like, why not use it somewhere? And I also have ends that I still need to weave in. So there is my shawl. It's very nice and cozy and like soft because these yarns were kind of like bulkier yarns, and I use a lot of fingering weight yarn. So it was nice to make something in like a bulky yarn. It went really fast because, you know, the needles were like huge compared to what I normally am used to. And so I'm very excited to have this to wear in the fall. So the next project that I have is I had a pair of socks that I had started in I started the first sock in July for sock week, and then I needed to make the second one, and I finished it. So here are my socks from July/August, and I was using the yarn from Geektastic Fibers in the colorway The Charm Offensive, and this is just a basic vanilla sock on 9-inch circulars from the Crazy Sock Lady. So more socks, yay, even though it's too hot for me to want to wear socks right now. And so I did that, and the reason I wanted to get these finished is because I was going to be starting socks on September 1st, which I did. So there was a book that came out called A Werewolf's Guide to Seducing a Vampire, and I bought this book. I had it pre-ordered. I knew I was going to buy it. It is the 3rd book in a series. The series is, I think, just called Glimmer Falls. And I had read the first 2, and so I was like, I'm going to get this 3rd one. And the author is local, so if I pre-ordered from a local bookstore, I got a signed copy. So I was like, I have to do it. And so I got the book, and then I saw that there was a yarn dyer that I had never purchased from before called Kirby Warby Yarns, and they were dyeing a yarn to match it. So the yarn is called A Werewolf's Guide to Seducing a Vampire, and the colors on it are super fun. So I will hold it up. Look at the colors. It's so colorful. And so it's a self-striping yarn. It's very fun. And there was also a stitch along that was going to be starting on the 1st, and it's a stitch along / read along. So you're going to knit a sock and read the book. So I started my sock, another vanilla sock, because I figured that would be the best for showing off the yarn. And I love this yarn. Look at all these colors. It's so fun. And so I'm loving working on this, so I have more socks to work on. I also am going to be doing a Christmas sock because the same company, Kirby Warby Yarns, is doing a Advent yarn, and so it's going to be a self-striping yarn with I think 24 colors, and so that is going to be very fun. And it also comes with a color to do a contrasting heel and toe. So I will be doing a Christmas sock. Right now they have it up on their site for pre-order, and I don't think it comes out though. You don't get it until like November-ish. So I will be looking forward to that and seeing the colors that come out in that. And I think the colors they use are also supposed to be like based off of Christmas movies. And so it comes with like a card with it that says like quotes for each of the movies that the yarns are based on, or the colors are based off of. So I am excited for that and more sock knitting. I think that is everything that I have for this video though, and so I will be back hopefully next week with another update video because my kids are back in school, so I can get back to filming on a hopefully weekly schedule again. I will see you all in my next video. Thank you everyone for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Bye!